Hi, Martin here. I'm just out on a short solo canoe camping trip and on Crown Land. And this is a site that my wife and I visited a few weeks ago. It's an ancient Crown Land camping site. Actually, was actually in pretty good condition, but we sort of reestablished it. And I was just sitting here this morning, having my morning coffee on my little chair over here, overlooking the lake. And while I was sitting here, I noticed something unusual. There was this mound, this green mossy mound. And as I was staring at it, I thought, there's something very unnatural. This is just not a natural looking feature. There's no toppled tree that would sort of create a mound structure or anything like that. And as I kept staring at it, I saw a glint of something. And as I looked closer and got up, I realized it was a piece of broken glass. And so I broke out the old leather gloves and a digging stick and started digging out one bottle after another after another. Probably a dozen or so here. There might be more. I haven't finished. Now I have to figure out a way to pack this out. I always carry a plastic garbage bag for garbage that I find, but this is quite a lot of sharp broken stuff, so I'll have to sort something out. Can't leave this like this. But there's a point I wanted to make about this, and that is that as unsightly and irresponsible as this seems, it's, in a way it isn't. The people who did this were actually trying to be responsible. If you looked at those bottles, they had a particular shape. Those are what we call stubby beer bottles. Those stubby beer bottles were in wide use in Canada for beer. Beer bottles have a different shape now, but you can always tell the vintage, so to speak, of a beer bottle, of a beer by the beer bottle shape. And so that means that whoever did this sometime in the 70s, almost certainly, or perhaps even earlier. In any case, I think what they were trying to do was the responsible thing, given the guidelines at the time for camping. When I was a boy, I had a number of books on camping, and they all gave the same advice. And the book I used to enjoy the most, by the way, was called The Big Golden Book of Camping and Campcraft. And the advice that it gave with respect to bringing bottles into the bush was, when your bottles were empty, bury them, just like you see here. The same thing with tin cans. If you brought tin cans or tin foil with you or something like that for cooking, what you were supposed to do was throw them into the fire, burn them out, and then crush them and bury them, and then just forget about them. Don't pack anything out. I mean, it seems peculiar now, but that was in fact the sort of the ecological wisdom of the day. And now, of course, you shouldn't bring any of those things into the bush. They're just needlessly heavy, and they mean that you have to pack them out. But certainly there's nothing wrong with burning cans and burning your tinfoil in the fire and crushing it just to get rid of the food odors and compacting it so that it's easier to pack out, but you should still pack it out. But back in those days, that's not what we did. In those days, when I was a boy, the practice for camping was bury your trash, don't pack it out. I'm happy to say we've come a long way in that respect. So I'm back home, and I managed to pack out all of those bottles and broken glass. I didn't have a puncture-proof bag or anything of the sort that I could carry that out in, and I needed to make sure that I could carry it safely without hurting myself on the portages. So what I did was I just took this elastic shock cord that I always have with me on camping trips, so that I can make my cheek spreader latrines. I just tied those into 3 loops so I could bundle around it. This is just a piece of cordage that I had. This plastic is the ground sheet from my tent. And this is pretty puncture-proof. This is my DIY camping chair. There's the bottles, and this is my ground sit pad. This is just a piece of Reflectech. So I was able to put these together and take them home. So now I've got some collector item stubby bottles, some with holes, some intact.